Hello, this is Tom Taylor with English Lessons. Today we're going to talk about articles. The main articles are a, an, the, plus some, and any. And what are articles used for? Articles are used to provide additional information about nouns. There are two different types of articles: definite articles and indefinite articles. The definite article is the. It indicates a specific item. The indefinite articles are a, an, some, and any. They indicate impreciseness of the noun. So sometimes it doesn't make a difference whether you're using an a or whether you're using a the, and sometimes it does. For example, in newspaper articles, the articles are oftentimes dropped and it doesn't change the meaning of the headline. It's important for students to learn how to use articles properly in order to communicate effectively. Articles are very important for speaking proper English. Sometimes the difference between the definite articles and the indefinite articles is not important. In other cases, it is important, and it makes a major difference in meaning between two different ways of saying something. Additionally, in a lot of cases, the articles can be omitted or they can be dropped. For example, if you're taking notes, it's not necessary to put in a and the while you're taking notes, because it just takes extra time, and you can still understand the meaning of what you say even though the articles are not there. A third example is signs or very short directives will also omit the articles, but people will naturally understand what the meaning is without the article being included. Let's take a look at the indefinite articles: a, an, some, and any. Example is I see a house, or I eat an apple. If the noun begins with a consonant, we use a. If the noun begins with a vowel, we use an. We also use some for plural nouns. For example, I bought some apples. Also, we use any for questions, typically asking about the existence of something. For example, does the store have any cereal? Do you have any pencils? Now let's cover some of the uses of the indefinite articles. One example is if the noun is used as part of a general statement as representative of a class of objects. For example, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. In this case, we're referring to the general class of apples. Another example is a person should exercise every morning. Another example is if a noun is identified for the first time. This is a very common use. For example, I see an empty table by the window. The table looks good. So the first use, we use the indefinite article a, and once we identify the specific noun, then we use the. Another example of the indefinite article is when we're talking about one of a group of nouns, and we don't really have any intention of identifying one of them in more detail. For example, I took a book from the library. Another case of the indefinite article is to indicate one. I have $100 instead of saying I have $100. Or I have a car instead of saying I have one car. Another case for the indefinite article is to identify a quantity. For example, meat costs $3 a pound, or I drive 65 miles an hour, or pencils cost 10 cents a piece. Articles can also be used after what and such for a demonstrative statement. I can say, what a beautiful day, or such a nice car. Also, articles are used to indicate one for a number. For example, I have $100, or I have $1,000 in the bank, or he is worth $1 million. Some is used as the plural form of indefinite articles. For example, I have an apple, I have some apples. Or I see a car on the road, I see some cars on the road. In addition, some can also be used to identify an individual noun. Thank you for tuning in to our presentation today on indefinite articles. Stay tuned for the next presentation on definite articles.